What's happening, people? Thanks as always for passing by the channel, much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. Don't forget as well, please, to like and share the videos. Big thank you to everyone who's been doing that. You guys are heroes. Alright, so we've got another big fight this weekend. Triple G versus Canelo 3. I mean, this is a fight we have seen twice now, so really it shouldn't be that kind of like interesting to us, but I am really intrigued in this fight because it's Canelo and Triple G. Two of the best, most dominant, most popular middleweight fighters of the modern, the modern generation. They're both two incredibly good guys, very exciting to watch. Plus, there's a genuine rivalry there now. You know, after the first, kind of how the first two fights went, Canelo and Triple G have spoken how they used to be like really close pals. They used to spar together. Actually, there's like photos of them when they were like really young, and they used to spar. And now I think there's a genuine dislike between the pair of them. And that just kind of gives it that little bit extra spice this time as well, which I'm really kind of like happy about. Is it's happening at 168 pounds rather than 160, which I think is good. I've said before that I think both these lads are just both better at 168 than 160, especially Golovkin. Golovkin at 160 looks absolutely dead on the scales. He looks malnourished. 160, he's heavier, he's carrying more power. You know, Canelo's the same. Canelo at 160 was very, very good, but at 168 he's an absolute monster. So I think the pair of them will come in stronger. They'll both be carrying more power, and on top of that, Canelo is going to be putting all 5 of his super middleweight belts on the line for this fight. So which is why, despite it being the 3rd time they're fighting, I'm still genuinely interested. Boxing doesn't see that many trilogy fights. You know, we used to see them more back in the 70s, in the 80s and 90s with the likes of Ali, Frazier, Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe, Floyd Patterson versus that Swedish guy, was it Johansson, I think. The only modern ones I can really think of is obviously Fury Wilder, which happened recently, and Pacquiao versus Morales. I think they actually ended up having a 4th fight as well, but rematches happen all the time. They're almost a given these days to kind of like give the champion a chance to win the belts back, but trilogies are quite rare. Which is why I'm glad to see more of them. Both of them look really good on the scales. Triple G at 40 years old looks in absolutely insane shape. I don't know how he's looking that good, but fair play to him. Canelo's training looks pretty brutal as well. Triple G will have the height and will probably have the reach and advantage too, and he'll be the heavier of the two. But if you go based on the records, Canelo is 57-2-2. Triple G is 42-1-1. Since the last fight, I mean, it's mad to think that Canelo's coming in this fight off a loss. Like, I'm just so used to Canelo being this kind of like unstoppable machine that just runs through everyone. But Bivol, credit to him, he used his size and his power and his pressure extremely well to beat Canelo, which is an interesting point, which I think will lead on to what Golovkin's going to do. But since the last fight, Canelo has face Fielding, Jacobs, Kovalev, Callum Smith, Yildirim, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant and Dmitry Bivol. Eight different opponents, and Triple G's had Steve Rolls, Derivanchenko, great fight, and Cesar Meta. I mean, if you look at the two resumes, Canelo has been by far the more active boxer, because he's had double the amount of fights Golovkin's had since their last encounter in 2018. So based on that, going into it, you probably are more likely to favour Canelo to get the win. But this is such an intriguing fight because it's at 168 instead of 160. Like I said, the previous two were both there. The extra weight means both of them will come in heavier, carrying more powerful shots, but also a pair of them could be a bit slower as well. Canelo's got a victory and a draw over Triple G, so Triple G will be wanting to avenge that loss, the draw that happened. But Triple G won that first fight. They completely robbed him. Because he outlanded him in 10 or 12 rounds, and I think it was just dodgy judging that gave him that draw. Plus, let's not forget Canelo popped for Clenbuterol afterwards. Not a good thing. In the rematch, I had Triple G winning by a round, but I can like understand, after viewing it again, I can understand why people gave that fight to Canelo. Whereas the first one, I think Triple G won clear. So it's hard to call how it'll play out. Canelo will be confident as he got that victory over him back in 2018, and he will be motivated to kind of avenge that loss over Dmitry Bivol. But I reckon Triple G's been studying that fight a lot, because you'll be looking at the way in which Bivol beat Canelo and try and emulate that style. Canelo will try and box to a game plan as he normally does. He probably has like a blueprint on how to break down Golovkin, But to have a chance of beating Canelo, you have to come forward and put pressure on him and be brave against him, a bit like what Bivol did. Because if you let Canelo establish his jab, he will just break you down. You know, if you look at the ones who have faced him recently, like Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith, have tried to outbox Canelo. It just doesn't work. Eventually, he just works him down and then knocks him out. Whereas I think Triple G will try and box as well he can, but he needs to be on the front foot and needs to bring that pressure. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. In terms of a result, let's be real here. If it goes to points, Canelo's winning this fight. It just happens. You know, he's in Las Vegas. He's the zone fighter. He's the favourite. There's a history of kind of like, you know, unfair decisions. You know, if we look at the first Golovkin fight, the Floyd fight was a split decision by one judge, which is insane, really. Could we see a knockout? It's unlikely. Both these guys have got frightening power, but both have got incredible chins as well. You know, so this will be their third fight, so maybe they will go a bit harder. I don't think so. I think neither of these lads have been knocked down as a professional, but there's a first time for everything. So yeah, I am very excited. I do want Triple G to win, but I think Canelo's going to win, and that's just basically me being as honest as possible. I haven't seen enough at Triple G at 168, and even though at 40 he looks amazing, I just think Canelo's the younger, fresher of the two. So Canelo by a point to win is the way I'm calling it. Like, so either way, I think we've got a wicked fight on our hands. I can't wait. It could be another fight of the year contender like the last one. Can't wait to watch it. Hope you all enjoy it too. See you Sunday. Peace.